Trying.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to Ref the District, episode 177. If you're wondering where all the bells and whistles are going, my computer decided it was going to go on the fritz right before coming in, but that's not a problem because we're going to get it up there shortly enough. I'm Nathan Perry. We've got Trev and the Stoner in the house tonight. Again, full house, I think, second week in a row, which is nice during these summer months, especially because we have so much to talk about. We're going to be talking about all the great things happening at camp. I've got a little game, even with the computer going on the fritz. I've got a backup for us for the game where we'll be talking about the camp. We'll be talking about Austin Ekeler and what he's going to bring to the table in the cool down, specifically Austin Ekeler. He has been very vocal, very active in the offseason, kind of going out about and talking about some things. So we're wanting to touch on those things that we've heard from him, what we've seen from him, and what he's going to be bringing to the table for the Washington Commanders. And then here in the warm-up, we're going to be talking about that linebacker core that has the NFL on notice. This is a big change for us Washington fans, as it has been very, very poor over the last few seasons. And after one offseason, they're the talk of the town, including Jayden Daniels, the much maligned first-round pick for the Washington Commanders. Let's go ahead and get into it because, again, my computer is not allowing me to do all the things. So I can't welcome those who have come into the chat, as we do stream live every Wednesday here on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So you can catch us there at 7:30 Eastern. Join the conversation. Get in here. And once I can get those comments, I'll make sure to read some of them off here live on air. Of course, if you're just catching us on the audio, that's okay too. Just leave us a rating and review. That way other people can find us, and you someday will have to join us here live on the show as well. Trev, this linebacker group is being talked about as, if not the best linebacker group, the second best linebacker group, better than the likes of even San Francisco. How has this happened in one offseason? We had Bostic, John Bostic not too long ago, Cody Barton last year. You know, Khaleke Hudson, even though I was a big Hudson guy, this was our linebacker core. I mean, your favorite, Miracle Whip.
I know. Stud.
Yeah. So what has happened here in this one off season that all of a sudden people think Washington Commanders might have the best linebacker group?
Bobby Wagner. I mean, that's like probably 95% of it as of right now, so to speak. No disrespect to the other linebackers, but Frankie Luvu looks like he could be the guy that we've been missing for the past few years to partner up with a guy like Bobby Wagner. Just from his highlight tapes and things seen practice. But Jamin Davis has been there. Unless – is it Jamin? I never know how to say that dude's name. I was Jamin, Davis. I think with the way we drafted him, we should have probably thought we had a nationally high-ranked linebacking core, just because of, we drafted second round. We had John Bostic. I think we had Thomas Davis at one point too, to kind of mentor him. But it's just Bobby Wagner, I guess, right now. Outside of him and Frankie Luvu and Jamin Davis, it's a competitions there. I don't even know who's really after them. So I think it's a bunch of malarkey right now.
Do you?
Yeah, I mean, we're not even in training camp, and they're already linebacking core when the pads haven't even been put on yet.
Well, let's remember this later, Stoner.
Yeah,
I know. No, I know we're gonna get there, but he's not ranked yet. Like, nobody's ranking Jayden Daniels like anything high right now. But we have the number one, number two linebacking core right now on paper. Like, I'll take it, but I just don't buy it just because we have Bobby Wagner, like I said, no disrespect, but that's the reason why. But I just don't see how that and Frankie Louvu just elevates us up from the bottom to the top. It's just weird.
I mean, if maybe not the best Stoner, maybe at least the most improved.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. It's really crazy the sort of the full 180 that this linebacker crew has done. I mean, just starting from 2020 when Ron Rivera came in. When he came in and hired Jack Del Rio as the defensive coordinator, everybody thought, man, we're going to have the best linebacking crew in the NFL. And for whatever reason, they decided they wanted veteran guys that they knew that can kind of just fill in. And you name some of them, guys like Mayo and Cole Holcomb was here at the time.
Oh my God, I forgot about Cole Holcomb.
I mean, Cole Holcomb, right? And guys like that, and Cody Barton last year, just, guys who aren't supposed to be there at, starting every game. So now you have this complete transformation to the point where we're going to talk about Jamin Davis might not get a whole lot of playing time, and his playing time may be at a completely different position.
I was about to say he's going to get playing time, but it looks like he's might see a little bit more time on the edge.
Right. But still, he's got four guys in front of him that are very capable defensive, edges, defensive linebackers / edges. So that's going to limit his playing time as well. But you bring in a guy like Bobby Wagner, who's a Hall of Famer. I mean, he is the epitome of what a linebacker should be. He's smart. He's tough. He's injury free. He doesn't miss a lot of tackles. He can cover. He's a 4 or 3 down back, however you want to describe it. He plays every play. He shows up every single week, and he's basically a coach on the field. And then you got Louvu, who, from all indications, looked amazing in camp. Of course, no pads, no tackling. He has a tackling issue, which is going to show up, and it's going to make us crazy. And then you got the Jordan McGee who you drafted, right? And then you got Michael Walker, right? Now he hasn't had sort of this great career or anything, but let's not forget. I mean, I remember him. I know the name because I remember him picking off Taylor Heineke back 2 years ago, I think it was, when Heineke was trying to take the team down the field against Atlanta at the end of the first half, and he threw it right to Walker, and that's how I remember him because I was screaming at Taylor Heineke. But
I had a catalog, go through my catalog of all the Taylor Heineke interceptions.
You remember that one?
But that was
it was right at the
don't remember that one. Kind of
right
gets
at the end of the half,
couple.
and he just threw it right to him. It was crazy. But you have quality now, and they haven't shown anything on the field, of course, yet. But you have completely overturned the linebacker position, which was one of the weakest for the last 4 years. So just on paper, you've done a huge service to this defense, and you have guys who are coaching the defense, like Dan Quinn is a part of it, Joe Witt Jr., Ken Norton Jr., who is a coach in there, who's been a defensive coordinator many times. So I like a lot what they've done with this linebacker core. And like you said, Nathan, I don't think they're going to be sitting there just having guys 4-3 every single play and having the 4 guys rushing upfield like we saw over and over and over again these last few years.
Yeah, I mean, when you listen to Joe Witt Jr. again last week, just fantastic presence, right? I mean, people talk about aura and the aura that Jayden Daniels has and that Bobby Wagner has. Joe Witt Jr. has some aura to him. Sure. And when he talks about how this isn't 11 people, right? This isn't just the starters, that they're going to try to go 18 deep here. I think you're going to see a lot of that rotation. And yes, it is Jamin Davis, but I did put up here the Jamin linebacker group, but spelled it with Jamin's name. And it's fantastic to hear the things that we're seeing there. I think it was franchise talk. Did you all see the quote about Jamin Davis playing off the edge a little bit? Pretty interesting. I mean, he is seeing some time there. He is talking about how he's ready to feast. Like he can see that his talents are being unlocked because he was always athletically gifted.
athletic
We've
freak.
seen him go sideline to sideline and his ability to be disruptive, but he's never been put in a position from the previous group to be successful. And it seems like Joe Witt Jr. and Dan Quinn are really working. And then you have the likes of a Bobby Wagner, which Trev, you're giving a lot of credit to him being one of the names. I mean, this guy is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
In waiting. But it's not just the fact of his play on the field. He's a Hall of Famer for the things that he's bringing to the table, off the field.
Yeah.
Or on the sidelines and the coaching aspect, pardon me. But if you think that what he did with Sam Cosmi was great, Trev, what do you think he's doing with these linebackers?
Bobby Wagner, he's mentoring. He's being a leader. He is molding them to be the best player that they can be themselves. Not necessarily be exactly like Bobby Wagner, but he's bringing the best out of what they are saying they can bring to the table. So I think it's great. He's cool, calm, collected, but on the field, he's a maniac, which we like. But he's about business. He's a professional. I mean, you saw how he got after Jeremy Reeves. We talked about that a few weeks ago about the comments, like just a little joking around, like he joked too much. Like, we don't know if he was joking or not, but just by that alone, just let you know, like, hey, we got some pros in the building right now, some leaders and actual leaders of men, not just Ron Rivera saying that and we're going out and pooping the field. So Bobby Wagner is a tremendous pick-up. I still can't believe he's on. Like, I go back and, like, whenever there's a picture of him or a headline, I reread or relook like 10 times. I'm like, Bobby Wagner is literally in a Washington uniform. Yeah. Never in my entire Washington life I've ever thought Bobby Wagner would come here. Yeah. Same with Austin Ekeler, who we're going to talk about. It's just wild.
It really is wild. And you also have in that mix Jeremy Chin, who came out over the last week, and he's talked about how he had opportunities and more money on the table elsewhere, but wanted to come to Washington. You have to want to come here. This isn't a team that is, coming off like a NFC championship game loss, and you're going to be the missing piece that takes them over the edge. Like, you're hoping you sign here and that this coaching staff and the rest of the people they're bringing in, which is almost a full 50% roster update, are going to do something special. Jeremy Chin giving us 1 year, Bobby Wagner, I think 1 or maybe 2 years on his contract, but it's just, it's outstanding that these players, you can throw Zach Ertz in there as well, that they want to come here. And these are the types of players I think Washington's been missing out on. And that's, these are players who will improve this team. And, the last one I can think of that was really lauded as a free agent probably would have been William Jackson. Am I wrong there, son? Or is there somebody else who came in the offseason that people are like, this is one of the top guys? I mean, Curtis Samuel.
Yeah, that's it. Those two.
Same year.
That's it.
So
but they got paid the big bucks. They got paid money to come here. Like, Curtis Samuel was the number 2 receiver that year in terms of the amount of money for free agents behind, I forget the guy who went to the Giants and was a total bust. And then William Jackson III was the number 1 money cornerback signed in the offseason. And it's going to be interesting also to see, I think Jamin Davis in this linebacker crew, but I think Jamin Davis is what's going to, for our eyes, is going to tell the difference of coaching staffs from then until now, right? That's where we're really going to see the most difference in a coaching staff and how Jamin Davis is used and how well he performs. Because he's had 3 years under Rivera and Del Rio, 3 years. And he was basically, he would show up, we would see him every once in a while. But there's no doubt the talent is there. And everything you're hearing is that he's going to be playing all over the place. He's going to be playing linebacker. He's going to be playing edge. He's going to be playing inside, outside, all of that, because they're going to utilize his talents better. And so I think one player, if you want to know the difference between these two coaching staffs, keep an eye out on Jamin Davis.
I like that.
Now, one of the other names that was listed here was McGee. the rookie,
Yeah.
being somebody who people are looking forward to seeing. And there's a lot of players I think we're excited about, especially on the defense. Jamin Davis, Quan Martin, who we're going to talk about later. Super stoked about that one. But improving, how about these rookies? Washington over the last 4 years hasn't really got a lot of production out of the rookies.
Sure.
So what's, and McGee's not coming in as one of the top 100 picks either. Should we have excitement for him though, with what we've seen so far with Joe Witt Jr. and these linebackers?
Yes. Just basically off of like window shopping, so to speak. AP sought him out. You heard him on the phone call. They've been waiting for him. I can't believe he lasted that. Like, they wanted this guy. They saw the talent. You saw a little bit of highlight tape what he did. I think Temple, right? He was a Temple. He's a hitter. He's a dog. He's aggressive. He's mean, and that's the playing style for Dan Quinn and Joe Witt. And I have high hopes for that. I feel like every player that we drafted and signed off season, not every, but the majority, will have some type of role on this team, and they will get some kind of burn, whether it's 2 games here, like we're going to use a lot of these players that we drafted.
Yeah.
So I have really good high hopes because of the front office that we have that executed the draft as well as they did.
But we saw how many linebackers have played for Washington through the course of the year, and just look at last year when we saw a ton of Khalid Hudson, and we saw a ton of Mayo, right? Because your starters, Jamin Davis, got hurt.
Yeah.
And so you're going to see plenty of McGee. You're going to see plenty of probably Walker, because guys just don't go through a season normally without getting at least dinged up for a game or two. Right. So it's going to be important that those guys who are your backups are guys who you can trust and who can go in there. And so that's why McGee, even though, like you said, Nathan, he's like I don't even remember was he a 4th rounder?
5th rounder. We didn't have a 4th rounder. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's a 5th rounder. He's going to be counted on. He's going to have some trust that these coaches are going to have to put in him to play a lot, because they didn't go out and, other than Wagner and Luvu, right, your 2 starters, they didn't go out and get some backups. You got Luvu, you got Wagner, and you've got Jamin Davis, and then boom, you're into your backups.
There goes McGee right there.
That's McGee and Walker probably. But these guys, all linebackers are pretty much dogs, but these guys are dogs, and they're going to play a role this season.
Yeah,
especially if we're going by what Joe Witt Jr. said, 17, 18 rotational guys.
Yeah,
a lot of these late round draft picks are going to get some burn for sure. So
I attempted to actually take those 17, 18, what he said there, and try to figure out who the 18 are, and figure out like who's the odd man or odd men out. Yeah, we're going to see some names that are. I mean, he's not literally saying we're going to stop at 18 and only 18 guys are playing. But we're going to see some names that we've thought of as being contributors to this defense who are not going to be playing unless they have to.
I think partially to deviate from the linebacker talk real quick, that 17, 18 guys thing, what that tells me is we do have a couple impact defensive tackles. And if Johnny Newton pans out, we'll have 3 impact defensive tackles to kind of put in rotation. But when you play those guys, Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, 85%, 90%, 95% of the snaps over and over again from week 1, and your bye week's not in week 14, you get diminishing returns. And so what I like hearing about that is, they talk about putting people in position to be successful, but one of those things you do is you make sure that those guys have fresh legs, that they're disruptive. And what I'm hoping is that we can also see them in the right packages. How frustrating was it for Washington fans to routinely see Montez Sweat, Chase Young, on the sidelines on a crucial 3rd down?
Yeah.
You don't see a Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne out there when it's a 3rd and short, and you're what are you doing? You know,
Yeah.
it's okay to have a rotation, but like you need your studs in there when the game is on the line. And too often, even if they were seeing 90% of the snaps, that 10% was head scratcher. Why are they in there on those other snaps on a 1st and 10 that they just bust their tail off, maybe lost a 3rd and 5, right? And take them out for a 1st and 10. Give them a break and then bring them back on a 3rd down where they can be disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I'm not a coach. I don't quite understand some of that stuff.
Yeah. Who do you think could be kind of one or two of the odd men out? And again, we're not saying that he's going to have 18 guys and that's it. But if he's kind of saying 17 or 18, who are some guys who you think might not kind of fit into what they're trying to do? So I'm not saying roster spots. I'm just saying who doesn't fit what this defense wants to do.
It's too early for me to tell right now.
Yeah.
But you probably have a name, don't you?
Of course I do. I
have a couple that I can throw, but I don't think there'd be surprises.
You never ask a question you don't have the answer to already, right? So
true.
You don't have Reeves wasn't really ever in the rotation defensively. He was always a special teams guy. And he would just play when 3 safeties got hurt. But I don't like what I'm hearing. I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like what I'm feeling about Mr. Forbes. I don't like the vibe. It's just a vibe. Locked on Law Nails. I don't like what's going on. You guys know I'm elite. I'm elite at reading what people are writing. Yes. Right? That's how I had come up with my daily quarterback ledger on good days or bad days, because nobody ever says anything bad, but you can read between the lines. And that's what I've been doing with this defense. And I do not have a good vibe about Forbes. I'm sorry. I'm not saying he won't make it. I'm not saying he can't improve all that. I just don't have good vibes.
We absolutely talked about that, I think, a couple of weeks ago, right? Forbes is CB4. Like really? I mean, that's where he's probably going to be. You're going to see Benjamin St. Juste. You're going to see Davis, who is a new signing from the Chargers, who has had on years and off years. We're hoping this year is going to be an on year. You have Sanistrill in the slot. And then probably Forbes. A couple other guys maybe, and then Forbes. I mean, realistically, if Forbes is backing up one of the guys on the outside, it's going to be interesting. I do agree with C notes here. Percy Butler is another one that I would throw out, saying this guy is, he's probably going to have. He's not going to make a roster. I'm not saying he's not going to make the roster, but I mean, I don't think he's going to see a heavy on rotation. Yes, Trev.
I got another one. Christian Holmes.
That was another name I was going to mention, but that's not surprising, right? That guy's like
that wouldn't be surprising, but you could be right.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years. But yeah, I don't. That's one who I can see missing. I mean, you look at the players they came in. Is Christian Holmes going to make it over that undrafted free agent?
Right.
That they are raving about.
And it's also noticeable that they went after Steven, help me out. Steven, the guy who just retired instead of a lot of teams were after him.
Steven Nelson.
Steven Nelson, thank you. They went at Commanders were after him, or they're, at least trying to see if he would be willing to come in. What did he say, Nathan?
What does that say about Forbes?
Right. That means you're not super comfortable with your, cornerbacks. And I think that all starts with Forbes. Benjamin St. Juste is Benjamin St. Juste, right? He's like, you bring in a guy already from the Chargers as your other guy, and Sanistrill is going to play every down. Yeah, he's that kind of guy. So if they're looking to bring in another corner, especially a guy of Nelson's pedigree, right, then that means somebody's getting knocked out of the rotation. And I don't think it's those first 3 guys we mentioned. I think it's probably Forbes. That's just an opinion. Nobody's reached out to me to tell me that he's having a bad minicamp or anything, and it's still way too early, right? But I just don't get good vibes from what's coming out of minicamp for that.
Sure. There are some maybe not good things coming out of camp, but there's a lot of good things that we're going to be talking about. And Gus Bus, don't worry, we've got a kicker talk coming up here shortly. I just, for 3 weeks in a row, couldn't do it to you. Could not bring up kickers 3 weeks in a row in the cool down, or the warm up rather, but we will bring them up as we take on our camp takes. You're going to want to stay with us here on Ref the District, episode 177 coming up for you. Had to do a little vamping there at the end as I was struggling to find the transition here. I'm Nathan Perry here for Ref the District in the game as I struggle to make this thing go the way it's supposed to. Here we go. Camp takes. It's a day. It's a day. And this, I can't blame this on not having a don't sleep energy, as I had one. This is my computer needs don't sleep energy. And if you need that pick me up, make sure you head over to don'tsleepenergy.com. Use the code district, get yourself 10% off your entire order. Don't Sleep Energy makes you great. They're fantastic. Local company, supports us. You can support them and let them know that we sent you there. Get yourself a little discount. And you're not going to want to sleep on these players here. Trev, super amped to talk about our franchise quarterback. So we'll get to him here. But Don't Sleep Energy, use the code district. And Don't Sleep Energy makes you great. All right, let's move on here for these camp takes. I do have a game for us to play, but kind of putting it together in the background. So if I've looked distracted, that is absolutely the reason why, as I'm putting together some things. But Jayden Daniels is the headliner. Looks phenomenal. The passes have been beautiful. Things are being said that have been said, and there's just a lot of great things that are coming out there. So what, Trev, you said it. Is it too early? Is it too early, Trev?
No. You know why? Because we are the Washington football organization, fans of the Washington football organization, and we're not used to this. Not since 2012 with RG3, and I still don't even think the hype was this big when RG3 was coming out. Like as number 2.
Yeah, was it? I always try to remember. Was the hype in 2012 as big?
I really don't.
It was pretty big.
It was
big. It was big.
But I don't know. It's just watching the tapes of what the JP Finleys and the John Kimes of the world are posting, and everybody else I didn't name. This kid's got it. He's just flicking his wrist. It spirals all the time. No ducks. He's out there having fun. He has a competition game with Sam Hartman. They're joking around, like they're smiling. There's music. Like you didn't see this from quarterbacks that we've had from previous 10. Taylor Heineke, the Carson Wentz. We signed Carson Wentz, MVP, Super Bowl champion, almost MVP, Super Bowl champion, like Carson Wentz, and it wasn't hype like this. Jayden Daniels is just. The way he handles a press conference. Somebody asked how's it could be a star quarterback. He said, I'm not a star yet. I got a long way to go. I'm just a rookie.
Great line by him, by the way.
Terry McLaurin spent like 30 years raving about him just from minicamp and OTAs.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what he's going to say when we start winning ball games and Jayden pulls out some magic and really lets it loose? It's just a good feeling to have to see that your number 2 pick overall in the draft, which happens to be your franchise quarterback, Jayden Daniels, is doing what he's supposed to be doing. And I know there's probably some bumps and kinks, but he's our guy. I mean, everybody, I don't think our staff and players are blowing as much smoke in their conferences about the quarterback as it was last year. Like Terry probably blew some smoke about Sam Howell, Taylor Heineke. We had to rally behind Taylor because he came in and, we had to do that, quote unquote. But this guy, we've only judged him off college tape. And for him to come in and handle himself the way he is right now and just in OTAs and minicamps, he's our guy. Just off the field, press conferences, and the way he's picking up the playbook, the throws, the way he's having fun. He's just a kid.
I think the fun part is underrated. I like to see him out there. He's got it like a competition thing going with Sam Hartman. He's smiling. He's enjoying it. I think that's important to see. And it might not mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but I think players do play better when they're relaxed, right? When you're
Right.
not, he's the second overall pick. He's a franchise saving quarterback, for a lot of people. And it doesn't seem like that pressure is getting to him. And I think that's important.
Yeah, and he just had like $20 million dropped into his lap. So
that could be a good reason to smile. That could be a good reason.
Well, I mean, but it also can change a guy. It can turn him into something different than he was. And he made plenty of money when he was at LSU, but not $20 million at one time worth. But I think there's two things that really stood out to me in these 2 days so far of minicamp, which the first one is that he comes in at 5:45 a.m. He's the first one in the building in terms of players. That means something. I'm sorry, it just does. It shows and he's not going, and I'm going to throw a little bit of shade at RG3. He's not coming in and going straight to the weight room and trying to break all the weight room records.
Sure.
Right? That's what RG3 was, a hard worker. He was there grinding all the time, but not necessarily in the playbook and not necessarily trying to be a better quarterback. He was in the weight room and he was trying to do all those great things in the weight room. And you kind of see how that turned out. But he's there every morning, and he's there with, by the way, my guy, Luke McCaffrey, at 5:45 in the morning, and they're going through the playbook and they're going through routes and all this. That's a big deal to me, to have your quarterback doing it. Again, a rookie quarterback who can have every excuse to not do these things. I'm a rookie. I got $20 million. I'm the star. I can do all of these things. And he's not doing any of those. So that's awesome. And the second thing was something that Austin Ekeler said. And I'm kind of paraphrasing. I don't know if I have the exact what he was talking about. But there was some plays that Austin Ekeler ran, and maybe they disconnected on a route. And Austin Ekeler came back to the huddle to talk to him about it. And Jayden Daniels said something to the effect of, well, when the safety does this and the corner does that, I expect you to do this. And Austin Ekeler didn't realize that Jayden Daniels had that in him. And he said that it took Justin Herbert into year 3 of Justin Herbert's career to have that same understanding of those route concepts.
Oh, you mean the same Justin Herbert that could play tight end, wide receiver, defensive lineman, as Jim Harbaugh said? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal.
That's the same Justin Herbert that Stoner salivates over every week.
I mean, that doesn't mean because it took him 3 years to figure that one part out that he's not any good. Or in this case, it took Jayden Daniels 3 weeks to understand certain route concepts or the way the defensive is playing. It only took him that amount of time. And now Austin Eckler's like, well, cool. We can do this together because I know what you're saying, but I didn't think you had it in you. I didn't think that you were ready for that sort of understanding of a defense. That's a big deal too. They haven't had any pads. He hasn't had any real rush on him, all of these things. But at this stage of where he's supposed to be, I think he's beyond where we kind of expected him to be. Let's look at some of the other quarterbacks. We've heard some things about struggling with certain things. We haven't heard any of that in terms of Jayden Daniels understanding the offense, and that's exciting.
Seems to be a lot of positivity coming out of the Commanders, which is what you want, right? This is the time to be positive. Now, that being said, Doc Walker coming out and saying, if you think I'm going to be excited that the Heisman Trophy winner can play catch, you got the wrong guy. I'm excited about the prospects, but it don't mean squat until they get in pads. And that's something. It does it though, because I kind of agree with Doc here, where it's just like, this is fun and I love it. And I'm so happy to see all this being good right now, because again, this is the feel good time, but it doesn't mean a lot on Sundays yet. Right. We need to see it in pads. We need to see it during the practices. If he's going to play in the preseason, we need to see him put together stuff during the preseason. And then we need to see him put it together during the regular season. And Trev, I'm going to use you here in a moment. I'm going to let you get your words in, but then I'm going to turn around. You
Use them
open the
against
door
you.
for the game.
I did. Come on in.
I want to hear what you have to say, and then I'm going to turn around for you.
Okay. I mean, yes, obviously it doesn't matter because no pads, but we could be the Patriots where Gerard Mayo said, Drake May, who was picked right after Jayden, he's got a lot of work to do. His footwork, this and that. He's got a lot of work to do, and the tape shows it. But we got this kid, like Stoner mentioned, like it's not necessarily what he's doing, like with pads. It's like he's learning the playbook. He's understanding how to be an NFL player. Like that's huge in itself. That's why I'm excited. I mean, yeah, of course we don't know how he's going to handle Jonathan Allen in pads. I mean, I don't know if pads really makes a difference or not, but I mean it does because he can hit you. But like you're still seeing the same Deron Payne just without pads. So if you can pick up the concept and know where Deron's coming, then maybe in pads, like he can show what he's learned in these not so important OTA minicamps. That's why it's exciting because, I mean, if and I believe our coaching staff is not the one to blow smoke. Like I said, he's retaining the information. He's learning the playbook. He's in there early. I don't think that's just something the coaching staff is saying just for clicks and what they have to do because he was picked number 2. Like he's actually becoming a professional NFL football player. So yeah, it is important for him to understand the playbook because that's what it is. Like Dan Quinn said, we're not focused on the physicality right now. We're focusing on the techniques, the details, the understanding. So you got to be excited if the kid can understand that. So come on, like let's not just put a poo-poo on something that we haven't had in a long time because you don't have pads on. Okay, he's learning an NFL offense, which is something that I can't do, you can't do right now if we tried. You know what I mean? So come on, Doc Walker. You've had your time. I understand. Come on, bro. Back off a little bit.
Yeah. And I think there's probably two parts to his tweet or whatever
Probably
they
not.
said, where he said, I'm not going to get excited over it because they haven't been in pads.
He's excited.
It's true that he hasn't proven anything until they get into pads, but it's still okay to be excited. You don't want to just sit there and say, I'm not going to get excited. This is different. It's all we've asked for the last 20 plus years is 3 things. We've asked to get rid of Dan Snyder, and that happened. We asked to get a franchise quarterback, and that happened. And then the third, of course, we'll see win ball games.
Win games. Yeah.
Right.
That's going to be the important factor.
Right. That's the 3 biggest things. And so it's okay.
Cool.
It's okay to get excited. It really is.
It is. I do not want to yick anyone's young. All right. I don't want to do that. I want people to be excited during this time. I'm just saying that there are things that we have to be wary of. And one of the things that I'm repeatedly going back to for people is we've heard it before. Right. And Trev, you even said that there were some things, they had to prop up some players. So we have heard it before, right? So I'm going to give you some of the things that were said about a Washington quarterback over the course of a few years. Could be Jayden Daniels, could not be Jayden Daniels. You have to tell me if it was Jayden Daniels or who it was about. Okay. All right. The first one, the kid is a gamer. And I think everyone knows that. Is that Jayden Daniels? Who is that about? Jayden Daniels? Who's that about?
That's Sam Howell.
No, I say it's Taylor Heineke.
Taylor Heineke, 1 for Stoner. Stoner, keep track. If you got the whiteboard, now's the time to use it here. All right. Okay. He's making it happen. He's making throws a lot of people can't do.
Oh, that's Sam Howell.
Well, let me ask this. How far are we going back? 20 years? Are we going back like 4 years?
We're only going back. We're not going back as far as RG3. I stopped there.
All right, give me the quote again.
He's making it happen. He's making throws a lot of people can't do.
Carson Wentz.
Trev, you locked in at Sam Howell?
Yeah.
Is in fact Sam Howell. Oh. There's a lot of different things he's capable of doing. Obviously, a very skilled player.
Ooh. Well, judging by who we've had, can that be Jayden Daniels?
Say it again.
There's a lot of different things he's capable of doing obviously a very skilled player.
Yeah, I'm with you, Trev. I got Jayden Daniels on that one.
Carson Wentz.
Oh
my God.
Offensive coordinator Scott Turner laid that one.
Okay, well then never mind.
That
explains it.
That one don't count.
You see him taking responsibility for something that happens out there. So if something goes awry, he steps up right away and tries to get it corrected. And if it's his fault, he'll let everybody know.
That's Taylor Heineke.
I'm gonna say that's Haskins.
Sam Howell.
Oh yeah. Actually, I do remember that one. I do remember him saying that last year.
Who said that?
That one was
Rivera.
Terry McLaurin might have said that one.
Oh, okay.
A lot of these are actually Terry McLaurin quotes over the course of his time here.
Yeah.
How about this one? The way he's driving the ball down the field is definitely a lot better for us receivers. It gives us a chance to track the ball down the field and gives us a chance to make plays.
That's Jayden.
Sam Howell.
Trev says it's Jaden Daniels. Sam Howell. Yeah. Taylor Heineke.
Oh my!
No one was ever going to get that one, right? Yeah, driving the ball down the field and Taylor Heineke, not normally in the same sentence.
Was he put in the passenger seat of his car and driving down the field? That's the only way he can do that.
He wants to be as good as he possibly can be. He's working his butt off.
Wow, that could be said about anybody.
Yeah.
Really.
That's Sam Howell.
I'm gonna say it's gonna be a young guy. Once he's working his butt off. Yeah, I'm with you again, Trev. Sam Howell.
That one is Jayden Daniels.
Oh, okay.
Oh, who said that?
I want to say that was J.A. maybe. I didn't have everybody who read these things.
Oh, okay.
How about this one? Let me find one that we haven't read before. He's very confident in his ability, and he's not afraid to give guys the opportunity to make plays.
It's an opportunity to make plays. Read it again.
He's very confident in his ability, and he's not afraid to give guys the opportunity to make plays.
Fitzpatrick. What? I like the Fitzpatrick.
Garrett Gilbert.
I'm gonna add in here. You can really tell he has a good grasp of playing football.
I'm sticking with Fitzpatrick.
I'm gonna go with Marcus Mariota.
I might even change to Alex Smith, but I'm gonna stick with Fitzpatrick.
Sam Howell.
Oh, geez.
I think he moves really well, throws the ball well, and for a young guy that's coming in, seems to really like the command of the offense, and I think that's important.
That's Jayden Daniels. I remember that. Zach Ertz said that.
Okay, I'll go with
that one. That one is Jayden Daniels. So I think there might be a couple more that I haven't read here, but you guys are getting the idea.
Here's one. Let me just throw a quick one in there.
Okay.
We got our guy. We finally got our quarterback. I'm paraphrasing.
Sam Howell.
That's not a quote.
Sam Howell.
I think that was Sam Howell. Stoner. Sam Howell is him.
Yes.
No, it was Terry McLaurin last year, early on in season. He said,
because we were 2-0.
We
got our guy. And look, Terry McLaurin thought they had their guy. That's what he felt at that moment. But it turns out.
Sure. I actually do have one more. Okay. He's going to give guys a chance to make the play down the field, and he throws a really nice deep ball.
That's Jayden Daniels.
I feel like he's trying to trick us. I'm trying to read Nathan rather than figure out who the quote is about. Like he's trying to give us a curveball. Really nice deep ball. You haven't gone back that far. It's really been just kind of the last 2 years.
I will say this. I avoided one person. Go ahead.
I got Jacoby Brissett.
That's not a bad guess. That it is another Sam Howell one.
Oh.
I did avoid Haskins. I was talking to EP and she said, "Yeah, don't do that one." And
It's
I
okay
was
to
planning,
talk about the guy and
yeah,
his football exploits. We can't
yeah.
just pretend like he never
I'm
existed.
not saying I was going to do that. I wanted to go all the way back to RG3
Yeah,
for all the quarterbacks we thought were going to be franchise quarterbacks.
yeah,
But when I came out here about a half an hour before the show, my computer wasn't functioning. So
yeah,
I ended up having just to kind of quickly cobble some together.
yeah,
But that was a nice little game and a nice little exercise to show us again that we've heard these nice things at this stage and that it's not uncommon to hear these things. Are we hearing it
yeah.
for some of the other quarterbacks? You know, we've heard some bad things about JJ McCarthy. We've heard some bad things about Drake May, but we're also not paying attention to all the good things being said and all the things that, you know, that's not our lane, right? Our lane is Jayden Daniels, and we're hearing the good things and we want to see the good things. So we're seeing these beautiful, beautiful deep balls and these on target passes, and him throwing the ball in the rain apparently is a big deal for people. And it's just, do not get tired of being excited. Okay. And to quote Jonathan Allen, keep that same energy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. When he throws his first interception, week
We'll be
one,
all right.
week two, whenever it's going to happen, because it's going to happen. Okay. When Jayden Daniels throws his first NFL interception, keep that same energy, keep that excitement. Understand this is a long process. So that's not like I said, I'm not trying to yick anybody's yum here, but so there's no.
I don't know, Trev. I don't know what that means either.
You don't want to yick anybody's yum. People like get excited, like it doesn't matter. The kids these days, they say it. None of us are kids. You can tell by the grays in my hair. I'm not trying to yick the yum. Find me another saying to say it, because I am tired of saying it now. Right? I'm not trying to poo-poo on anybody.
Right.
There you go.
I am just bringing to light that these are things we've heard before, and that the excitement we have today might not be the excitement we have later, but we need to keep that same energy and keep the excited, because there's some good things, and it's not all Jayden Daniels. There's just some good things out there on this offense that we're seeing, and we're seeing players kind of come together, and then the defense is looking really good. There's more energy on the defense than ever before, and you're having players talk about both offense and defense about how this, for the first time in a long time, is something they want to come to, that they're enjoying themselves and the camaraderie. There's a huge, build up by the coaches to talk about how you guys are teammates and you guys got to act like teammates. And I think that is going to go a long way, and that's going to win a football game.
Yeah. What is that thing that you always use, Nathan? Like winning on the edges or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Those little things like that can be the difference between a 10-7 and a 8-9 type season.
Winning in the margins.
Yeah, winning in the margins. There you go. And you've seen that. You've seen the energy when the coaches are involved with I don't even know what you call that, when the scrum, when everybody starts practice and they're all screaming and yelling and jumping and running and all that. The coaching is bringing the energy, and it's rubbing off on the players. And so some of the things that I've seen, that I've noticed in camp so far, the guys who are standing out on defense, the three guys that I think have stood out defensively, I think have been Jeremy Chin, Frankie Louvu, and Dorrance Armstrong. And what all three of those guys have in common? They're
new signings.
New signings. There are guys that have come here, and this coaching staff thinks that they fit, and it seems to be so far. And look, going back to Doc Walker's quote, they haven't done anything yet. They haven't been in pads yet. Dorrance Armstrong has been making some great moves on the outside, but wait till Sam Cosmi and Andrew Wiley get their pads on and start slamming them into the ground. It's going to be a different story. But right now, those guys have stood out, and I think that's a big, big deal. We've had so many failures with free agents and draft picks over the last 4 years. It's refreshing to see that these guys who are coming in here are going to hopefully make a difference.
they're, like I said, I think the roster turnover is just under 50% at this point, which is crazy
Yeah.
to think about. And 1 year that you're turning over this much, a third of the roster, sure. A bad roster like this, you can see 40%, maybe, edging its way towards 45, but to be reaching 50% is just entirely crazy. And then we're going to see, not just we're not talking just the 53-man roster here being a turnover. We're going to see the 22 players who make up the offense and defensive starters. How many different faces are going to be out there? One of those may be the rookie Coleman, who did start practice today out at left tackle with the ones, and has some people saying that he at least looks the part. Now, there's no contact at this point, and he is a big dude, and his TCU coach, with one word to describe him, called him nasty. So is there excitement, Trev, for Coleman out at left tackle, or are you on a wait and see approach here?
Both. I'm excited. Apparently he was a stud at TCU. He's a big dude. Everything that's come out in reports that he's like aggressive, mean, nasty, mauler, physical. It's cool that he's running with the ones, and that's because our left tackle position is not solidified, even though it's still camps and there's competition at certain spots, but there's definitely competition at LT because we don't have a clear-cut number one like we do at other positions. So it's good he's getting burns with the ones. I don't know if he's going to start out that way week one, but you never know. He could have a great training camp and put on a show better than Cornelius Lucas and Trent Scott, who he's competing with, and maybe a veteran that we signed before training camp too. So, yeah, I'm excited, but it's also wait and see because out of all the draft picks, I feel like he's the one that has the biggest chance of not panning out. Not being a bust, but not panning out. Because I feel like he wasn't one of the offensive linemen that was talked about that much before draft, but he's not one that wasn't talked about at all. Like we didn't wait till the 6th round to get him. So I'm just both wait and see and excited.
Yeah, I'm kind of in that same boat, but offensive left tackle is my biggest rant this entire offseason is I didn't feel they addressed it well enough. Right. And so I really do hope that Brandon Coleman makes me eat those words and that he does come out and earn that job from the start. You don't want a guy who's like compete. And then you get to, okay, week one, Coleman's going to be our left tackle. What I want Coleman to go in there and take over from day one, which is yesterday, this camp, and then say, I'm the left tackle. You all are going to have to knock me out of this spot. That's what I'm hoping from him. And I hope to eat my words, but I'm with you, Trev. I'm a little cautious on getting excited about him. Sure, he's a big dude. Sure, he's a nasty dude, but do you have the skills to play left tackle and the skills to block? We're not in season, so I can't remember everybody's names, but those edges, Thibodeau for the Giants, and Micah Parsons is going to be coming off the edge, and the Eagles still have just violent pass rushers. Does he have the skill to stop those guys? That's 6 of your games every year.
Because we believe it or not, we do know what it feels like to have a stud left tackle. Trent Williams was here during all that mess, and he was still balling out. So that's kind of the bar I put in our left tackle position. But since then, Charles Leno, appreciate what you did. Serviceable left tackle, not bad or bust, but we've seen left tackle play. Trent Williams. So that's where my bar is right now. If you're something close to that, then I think we've got.
Yeah, I would accept even Charles Leno level of play. I know that's not exciting.
Only if it's your rookie. Like I wouldn't accept that from, say, Trent Scott.
Sure. I mean, at Trent Scott, I expect Trent Scott level of play.
Well, what I'm saying is, if Trent Scott wins the job and he gives you Charles Leno level of play, then what does that tell you about Brandon Coleman? At least in his first year, you're saying, okay, he ain't it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but if Brandon Coleman gives you Charles Leno type of play, level of
He
play,
might
then
be
you say,
starting
okay,
for us.
he's a rookie. He's not great, but he's serviceable and he can improve as time goes on. And so I think there's a difference in who you say you're okay with Charles Leno level of play.
Yeah. I mean, if we get Charles Leno level of play, I know people didn't like him, but I mean, he was a lot better than what people think. And it would at least be serviceable and hopefully help Jayden Daniels. I would love to have a Trent Williams level of play. I mean, I was so excited when Washington picked him, being a Sooner guy, everything. Love the big guys on the line. But I mean, you're talking about one of the top, like, 3 offensive tackles in the game.
Yeah.
Of this generation, of his generation.
Of this generation. The guy should be, Hall of Famer, right?
Oh yeah. He's
when all is said and done. So I mean, like, I love shooting for the stars, but if we can just get Charles Leno play, then I'd be okay with that. Not happy, not thrilled, not excited, but I would be okay with it. Now, one of the things that was also maybe not the most exciting thing or most happy thing to hear was one of those linebackers we talked about in the warm-up wasn't out there playing today. Kept out there with a minor ankle injury.
Yeah.
Team's not concerned, but Frankie Luvu was out. You guys don't seem to be bothered by this either.
No.
Tomorrow's the last day of minicamp, then they got 6 weeks off. He's fine.
6 weeks off. That's right. I mean, I'm not even bothered by Johnny Newton's injury issue at this point.
Yeah, me neither. Nope.
Now, if he comes into camp, training camp in a boot,
right,
I got a problem with that. But
we don't talk about
right
it.
now, yeah, right. I mean, he's not like in a cast, or he's not like in a surgery situation where, like, he had his knee redone or something like that.
Right.
So I'm not worried about it, but
he's not on a second foot injury this year. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would be all right.
Yeah, so Johnny Newton is, but all things are showing pretty positive for Newton, the second round pick for Washington, going nicely through the progression of his healing process. Dan Quinn talking pretty positive about that. Is there some optimism there? Kind of, we're talking about, Frankie not being a problem. Is Johnny Newton going to be available by the time the season starts? And are we certain that he'll be ready?
Yes. If he's taking the steps he needs to take right now, and also participating on the bike. What did we call that back in the day? When you were on the bike all the time?
Cycle Club? No, what was
it? What was that?
Maybe
I don't know,
I can't remember. Was it the Ashburn
There's
Cycle
Club?
A lot
of different words. But I mean, you had Malcolm Kelly out there. You had I'm trying to think of some of the ones that are out there. But yeah,
I'm not worried. If he's like we said, we got 6 weeks until training camp. Now, if, like Stoner said, he shows up in the same boot first few days of training camp, I'm gonna be on here a little bit worried. But right now, I'm not. He's out there doing the bike without using his feet, just doing his arms.
Yeah,
that dude is a monster. So, like, I'm not worried.
Hey, who was the second round pick? 2 drafts before this one.
What?
Do you all remember?
I'm talking Chase Young.
No, second round pick, not the
second round pick. Fedarian Mathis.
Is he still on this team?
Yes, he is.
I'm just kind of saying, like, you don't hear nothing about that dude. Nathan was talking about impact defensive tackles. You did not mention Fedarian Mathis.
That's fine. Because when he played, he was kind of impactful, but he spent most of his time injured for us. So he's fine. He'll make it.
I know, but it's just like,
will he though?
One thing out of him.
Yeah, will he make it? I honestly,
you got
Payne, I don't know.
Allen, Ridgeway, Mathis,
Newton. You're not keeping all 5.
I guess
you might. Again, we don't know how the defense is going to be set up.
You might, bro. If we're going to keep some fresh legs, you might keep 5.
So let's perfect transition here for Trey's question. What position group will the Commanders keep the most of? And we're gonna say this more than what you would expect them to keep. Okay, because offensive linemen, defensive linemen as a group tend to be more stacked because you have to. That's a group of 5, so you're going to be keeping closer to 10 on those. So
Mhm.
which position group though are we going to keep more than you normally would see? Wide receivers, you normally see 6 or 7. Is that going to go up?
Mhm.
Especially with the kickoff rules.
I was going to say running back might if it's going by more than we suspect for
Yeah,
position. I'm
normally
going
you
to say
keep
running
3,
back.
and you're going to say more than
Yeah,
3.
or because of the kickoff or special that's tough.
Yeah,
Running back has a good chance.
I'm gonna keep ranting about it until it comes to fruition. But I think it's
Yeah,
either the wide receiver or the running back group,
Yeah.
whoever is going to have that kickoff return specialist. They're not going to trot Jahan Dotson out there for kickoff returns. I don't believe it. I know he's been practicing for it and all that, but I don't believe he's going to be out there doing kickoffs. It's going to be a guy like a Jeremy McNichol, or it's going to be a guy like a Kaz Allen, right? It's going to be somebody who's not in your rotation offensively or defensively. And so that's going to need that extra roster spot. And I think it's going to come from one of those two. I don't know about Forbes being a punt returner or a kick returner. I don't know about that, but
got to use them somewhere if you're not going to put them out there in the rotation. I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to go with quite a few people here who are going with the secondary. I think that's probably what we're going to see. I think you can see maybe a safety, an extra safety, an extra DB, where this is, that's where you pull, those guys are athletic too. And, they don't need hands. If you're catching these, most of the time you're catching it, kind of with your body. So, it's something I think that they can work through and use. And then, as mentioned by Grimjaw here, we have a defensive coach, defensive-minded people. They're going to want to keep a couple more of those guys, I think, on them. I think just because we're going to keep 7 wide receivers, and you'll probably see one of those wide receivers be one of the return options, right? I don't know about running backs. I think they'll probably just keep the 3. I think they're pretty happy with their 1-2 punch. Chris Rodriguez is possibly the 3rd guy in that one. So, but I don't think they need to keep anybody on the active roster after that for running backs.
I'm curious, Nathan, if it was today and you had to make roster cuts, who are your 7 wide receivers?
Oh, I got you too.
My 7 wide receivers. This is rough.
This is today.
Today. Yeah. So I'm gonna use my pen and paper here with this one. I will say this: after Terry, we might not have a strong group. Last year, let's go back 1 year and how we were talking about this group. We thought that we had one of the best 1-2-3 punches in the league.
Yeah.
If not the best. Top 5 easy, top 3 probably a lock as well. Some people had us at number 1, and now we're going in there. Terry as 1.
Yep.
Jahan Dotson as 2.
Okay.
At 3, I'm going to go Zacchaeus.
All right.
4, De'Ami Brown.
Oof. Brown, which, by the way, he's a training camp king. He just dominates training camp. But
in these deep throws, he's absolutely feasting. We'll go with McCarthy
or McCaffrey.
Yeah.
All
let's
right.
see, 6 and 7 out there. Who's left? I'm going to keep Jameson Crowder.
Okay.
You need a nice vet on the roster like that who can make plays across the field for you. And then 7. Who are my options? Who are
Rosemary Jack Saint from Georgia? Keep him.
No.
Yeah, Jack Saint's a guy. Kaz Allen, Bryson Tremaine.
No.
Mitchell Tinsley.
Maybe.
I don't know. Is that everybody? Let me double check.
Demir Bird.
Demir Bird. That's right.
Bird might be.
Bird's not bad. I keep Bird.
All right. Let me see who else is
CJ,
in the wide receiver.
Whose name did I butcher this time? McCaffrey. I think I butcher McCaffrey. I did call him McCarthy.
I don't know who Davion Davis is, but he's on the roster. That's it.
Yeah, he had a catch today.
Those are your choices.
I'll go with Tinsley. I'll throw people a bone. They love him. I can see this roster not having him though. But Bird would be another option. The guy from Georgia ain't it. He's a practice squad
A lot
guy.
of people like him.
He's a practice squad guy.
Trev, who would be wide receiver 7 for you? Assuming you agree with those first 6. Do you
Yeah,
agree
why
with
not?
those first 6? Okay.
Who's
Who's wide receiver 7 for you?
I mean, if we're gonna probably use him as a return specialist,
He's going to be. Let's just put that out there. That yes, he's your return guy.
give me Demir Bird.
He's your return guy.
He's had some success with a few teams. I don't know about returning, but as a wide receiver, pretty speedy, shifty guy.
Dax Milne, don't forget, is an option.
I did forget.
Well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thanks, Lockdown.
He got to go. Sorry, I'm over it. He's got to go. So yeah, Demir Bird. Go ahead.
Do you want to change your answer, Nathan? Because you forgot about Mr. Steal Your Girl?
No. Not at all. Okay. I did not forget about him. That was not he held on last year just barely. I don't think he's going to hold on to a roster that's seeing 50% turnover. I just don't see him being lucky enough in that one. Now, I do have some qualms with people, and I want to hear the arguments. I know Stoner is a big Luke fan, and I'm going to look forward to doing the Luke chants, right? Luke, I'm looking forward to it, okay? But tell me here, McCaffrey is already ahead of Brown. Timothy here, you're smoking if you don't think Luke won't be wide receiver 3. Admittedly, I had him down at 5 in my list. That's partially because he's a rookie, top 100 pick, the 100th pick, and we saw that through our data that doesn't mean squat. Okay, especially at wide receiver. At that point, it's a coin flip. I like what I've seen. I'm not saying that he can't be productive, and I do think that he'll probably see more playing time as a tall inside wide receiver than possibly Brown, because Brown is really going to be more of an outside speed guy. Okay. But I think a lot of people are underestimating the wide receiver signing we got from Philadelphia, and TJ's teasing me because I can't say his name right.
Zacchaeus. There you go.
Zacchaeus. Okay.
I mean, he can't say Mahomes right. So
yeah,
don't be surprised if he can't say Zacchaeus correctly.
Zacchaeus. So I mean, you can move him up to 4, but people are telling me he's wide receiver 3, and he's clearly better than Brown. Why is that? What have we seen here in camp, as we're talking about camp, that makes you think that that's the case? Because we've seen De'Ami Brown feast in these deep ball throws, and he's out there. We've seen maybe one video of Luke McCaffrey catching the ball. I mean, it wasn't bad, but I mean, it wasn't like he's not continually being pushed in our face the way that you would think people talk about him as being the clear number 3 wide receiver.
Maybe the intangibles. Maybe he runs routes better. Maybe he understands the offense better. Maybe the size matters. Maybe his experience with the Eagles and somewhere else catching some touchdowns and passes helps. We haven't seen anything from Luke McCaffrey. Not saying he's not capable, but he's not proven to be wide receiver 3. If we're going to do that just because of his last name, let's be honest, that's why people are saying it. Because I'm pretty sure nobody was mentioning Luke McCaffrey as a draft prospect during the whole offseason before the draft. But once we draft him, he's wide receiver number 3 already because his last name is McCaffrey. And he played a 1-year receiver at Rice. Before that, he was a quarterback.
A year and a
half. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. No shade to Luke. He's probably going to be a stud. I mean, he's working on handoffs from us too, so he's going to be a gadget already. But wide receiver 3, let's be honest. That's a little bold. Zacchaeus is proven. De'Ami Brown has proven he could be that guy. Not consistently, but those 2 touchdowns from Carson, he has shown. You remember, and in training camp, he's shown flashes he could be that guy.
He's certainly run a lot of cardio.
Yeah, but Luke has shown us some poses for media day, some handoff from Anthony Lynn, and uncovered rainbow deep balls, half speed, and OTAs. Just say it. That's probably why I would agree with you to put Zacchaeus at number 3 and not McCaffrey.
I'm that guy, Trev. I'm a McCaffrey guy, and I'm that guy who, as soon as he came in, I said he's wide receiver 3. He's going to be wide receiver 3.
You have
He
loved
played
him
receiver at Rice.
That
Okay.
doesn't mean anything.
Rice.
I mean, you have
Who's
Randy
going-
Moss
what
played
DB?
it and Marshall, right?
Okay,
Randy
right,
Moss, one of
but-
the greatest wide receivers of all
hold
time,
on,
played it
time
at
out.
Marshall.
Time out. Hold on. Randy Moss is a freak. Luke McCaffrey is just a McCaffrey. Okay, let's be honest. Right now, he's McCaffrey.
He's
He played a
athletically
receiver.
gifted, sure.
What competition was he going up against in Rice to be in like? And you already heard it. What did Cliff say he liked about Luke McCaffrey? Nothing about what he can do in the field. He liked his story, overcoming adversity, being a McCaffrey brother, this and that. He didn't say he's got great hands, he's got great running route ability, he got separation. He just said he liked the story. So come on, Stoner, you could be a McCaffrey guy, but he's not wide receiver 3 yet.
Okay.
Come on.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yet.
Trev.
Right
We'll
now, no.
It's all fair to believe in the hype and want to buy it. But I mean, Trev, you hit it right there on the nail on the head. Okay. At pick 100, we are all like, hey, get a wide receiver. A lot of us were saying Rice, right? Only we weren't talking about the college. We were talking about the kid.
Yeah. And he fell away in the 6th round.
Yeah. And so when Luke McCaffrey's name was called, a lot of us were just like, well, I guess that's McCaffrey's brother. I mean, we might have something there, but I mean, no one thought that. And in fact, a lot of people were even talking about how it was a reach on draft weekend. But now there's a lot of hype. You accuse me all the time, Stoner, of putting on my burgundy and gold glasses and talking myself into all of these players.
He got the Oculus on.
Yeah, full on. And it's I can put okay, everybody who wants De'Ami Brown to fall down this list, by all means, he can fall down the list. I was on the De'Ami Brown hype train last season. He let me down, and I'm not getting on that train again. That's not what this is, but he is a wide receiver who has at least some talent that's been played on Sunday. Luke McCaffrey has not. I think that Luke McCaffrey can get unlocked in the Cliff Kingsbury offense, but I would put him at wide receiver 4. And if the people who don't know about Zacchaeus might need to start watching some Eagle film, some Eagles games. He's a lot better than what people think. So Brian had him as the surprise cut. I just don't see it. If you're going to have a Jamison Crowder out of my list of 7, Jamison Crowder would be the one who I think is most likely to be a surprise cut.
Man, I think there are some guys who I think will be surprise cuts, and mine was Forbes earlier. But Jamison Crowder as a surprise cut? Oh, I think you might be going a little overboard there.
It'd be a surprise. I mean,
no, it'd be a surprise.
It'd be a surprise. No, I said you keep a guy like Jamison Crowder around, especially with the new return rule. Yes, Trev.
I got a guy who you keep around. It's going to segue into another camp take before we move on. Quan Martin. Can we get to that?
Yes.
Can we talk about, because I don't care who we keep and don't keep. It's June 12th. We got time. But Quan Martin tipped behind the back interception.
But don't worry, Trev. I got it right here. I got you.
DJ,
you got the video.
Oh, you know it. You know it. I absolutely have this one because this was just a thing of beauty here. So for those who might not follow the team super closely on the social media channels, the beat reporters were going wild over an interception, except for John Keim, who had the best reaction out of everybody. Everybody else is like all caps, exclamation points, and John Keim just comes out there. Quan Martin intercepted a pass behind his back. That was it. That was it. It was simple, just straight facts. I'll let you get hyped here watching it and seeing what happened here as Quan Martin tips the ball to himself and then does on the run catch it 2 hands behind his back. Just
shout out the Commanders social media / video crew or whatever. I mean, that's a great job following that. That's hard to follow when a guy kind of jumps up there and intercepts going in the different direction than you're expecting, because you're expecting the pass to be complete.
Yeah, you're supposed to be going to the left, not to the right.
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome. But man, the interception itself, crazy good.
My
And who
favorite
was
thing
trying to catch it, by the way?
What's that?
That was Chris Rodriguez.
That was at 23.
And
Yeah, so this was
and
a
Jeff
Mariota
Driscoll
pass.
threw it.
That's fair. Yeah, it was C-Rod out there. Mariota's throwing it. One of my favorite things here is the offense in the background. Cliff Kingsbury in his famous hat at this point, and the offense just kind of chilling back there watching, and then they realize, oh, we got to get out of the way.
Right.
Run into the sidelines. It was a fun thing, and it was great hearing this. Especially, I've been very open about my love of Quan Martin and what I expect from him this season, and getting some early, hype to go along with it, I think is great. Quan Martin definitely is going to be somebody who I think we're going to be saying his name quite a bit.
Yep.
So your guy is Quan Martin.
Yeah.
My guy, and I've got a couple of them, but at least for my rookie is McCaffrey. But my sort of guy who's going to step up to the next level this year is going to be my guy at can't even think of his name right now. Luvu, right? I think Luvu is going to take a huge step this year. Trev, who's kind of like your guy who's going to make that next step? Offensively or defensively, doesn't have to be defensively. Who's going to kind of go from, okay, right? Next step, next level. Doesn't have to go to like Pro Bowl level, but
I think B-Rob has a good chance of doing that. He's got somebody where he can share the rock with. It's not going to be a heavy load on him. And it's a new style of offense. He already showed that he can catch the ball out of the backfield a little bit last year. So I think he's going to improve on that. I think it's going to be more of an all-around kind of running back rather than just the downhill ground and pound. And
well, don't you think that Ekeler's going to take away a lot of those carries or a lot of those opportunities?
I don't. How do I say this? I have no idea what to expect with the running back B-Rob and Ekeler with this Kingsbury offense. I mean, we might see Ekeler in there first, second, third down. Might see B-Rob first, second, third down. Might see them in there at the same time. It's just, I don't know. Depends on the situation, I guess. But I do think B-Rob's going to excel his running back game now that he has somebody in Austin Ekeler to push him to be a great running back. And I think the offense is going to allow him to be a great running back. And then defensive side, with I think Benjamin St. Juice for real. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I thought he was a decent corner that we had. He was a little handsy, caused a lot of heartbreak with the pass interference penalties at crucial times, but he was also a pretty good shutdown, lockdown cornerback. And I think with Joe Witt and Tom Donatel and William Gay back there, all the assistant DB coaches, I think they're going to maximize Benjamin St. Juice, and I think we'll see a better version of him this year. Maybe less handsy, more technical, and more ball hockey rather than,
I think it's important he makes the jump. I mean, we're talking year 3 for him, right?
CD1, right?
He is. He's kind of the default one.
Right.
I agree with you, Trev. I think there's a lot to like there. So I think that's something. B-Rob is an interesting one. I think I agree very much with Ryan here. If Ekeler takes half the carries this year, B-Rob will still have more attempts than last year. And I wanted to put some numbers to this for reference. Okay. Brian Robinson had 178 attempts last season. The team only attempted 359. Their opponents, for the record, attempted 480. So
he had half the carries.
He had about half the carries that Washington attempted, and I can see that same breakdown going. I think that he's going to take up 50% or more of the team carries.
Yeah.
And still surpass 178 carries. I see him finishing around 225. I think Austin Ekeler is going to have more than 100 touches himself. This team they're gearing up to run the ball.
Yeah, they are. I agree.
I mean, they even have Luke McCaffrey. Their wide receiver picked at 100.
Wide receiver 3. What?
Lining up to receive some snaps. You know,
Okay, real quick.
running back.
Stoner, Curtis Samuel was wide receiver 3 for us last year. You really putting Luke McCaffrey in that same spot?
Yes. Next question.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Nice, quick, decisive answer. There's a lot of names. You know, I like Quan Martin. I've said it. I'm expecting Jamin Davis to show us something he hasn't. On offense, a guy who I really want Washington to just lock up. Will Diggs asking the question here. Should we sign Sam Cosmi before the season starts? Yes.
Yes.
Do it. He's only getting better, and he's only going to cost you more money. If you if you do not sign him before the season and you wait till after the season, you're looking at somebody who's not a budding right guard. You're looking at somebody who's possibly one of the top guards in the league. I'm not going to say he's going to be top 3, top 5 guy.
No, you're good.
But top 10, he has a lot of talent, a lot of athletic ability. And I think that Bobby Wagner interaction tells you that he is still learning. And I think that now is the time you get him when the getting's cheap, because you wait till after the season. The only way you're getting him cheap is if he's injured.
You don't re-sign only superstars, right? You sign guys who also are good players, and Sam Cosmi is that guy. So yeah, you absolutely sign him now, and again, not have to wait for, maybe we're going to have to franchise him, and now it's going to cost us top 5 guard money. You know, we don't want to go through the whole Brandon Sheriff thing again, right? So yeah, you got to lock him up. You got to lock him up now.
I want to address Mr. Timothy Swindle real quick. Combine does not mean a thing when it comes to what you can do on the field. Troy Apke ran one of the fastest combines in the history of combine.
And he's Trev loved himself.
Okay? And he's jobless. So I might need to do some research, but I could tell you Luke McCaffrey was on nobody's board until draft day at pick number 100. Just because they had a great combine and the best cone drill, and if I can remember, you play against human beings, not cones in NFL. So all that stuff does not mean anything to me personally.
And now Trev's kind of getting to the analytics side, which is my those numbers matter.
Guy.
But
yeah, football guy.
So. No, that's fair. For our audio listeners, Timothy calling out Trev here. At this point, Trev just hating. Must not have watched a second of this kid's film or anything at the combine. 4.47 and had the best cone drill. Educate yourself, guy, is what Timothy was calling Trev out.
That's my guy.
Trev is not a hater, really, unless you're Trev. Well, actually, let's list some of the players that Trev's hated over the years. Actually, because Kendall Fuller, you've hated quite a bit of guys, so maybe you are a little bit of a hater. I don't think you're a hater on Luke.
Taylor Heineke.
Oh, did he hate that? Well, I guess he hated
Cam Curl, Taylor Heineke.
I can't trust Trev ever since he said how much he loved Carson Wentz. I could not trust him on quarterbacks after that one. But yeah, I think Luke will be a lot of people, and I had highlighted this comment earlier. A lot of them are going with the wide receiver from the Rams last year, Puka
Nacua. Hey, you nailed it. Nice job, man.
Look at that. Learning. A lot of people are expecting that. And it's just because that's one of the things that Nacua kind of flew underneath the radar was his cone drill was actually just outstanding. And so he kind of fell in the draft. He wasn't an early round guy. He was a day 3 guy, and then he just explodes on the scene with one of the best, if not the best rookie wide receiver years. Okay. And a lot of people then see Luke, 6'2", great cone drill, has some speed to him, all this stuff. And it's just like they're trying to push that level of greatness on him. And just kind of like the left tackle business that we talked about earlier, maybe set your expectations realistically. And then you can be pleasantly surprised if if he achieves otherworldly status.
Yes.
But I mean, be happy. Terry McLaurin coming out the gates as a 3rd round rookie. just like Luke did. No one, people, Trev, you talk all the time about how he was drafted to be a special teams player, and he had a great rookie year. If Luke finishes with more than 700 yards, don't be disappointed. Be excited. That's a great rookie year.
I'm just not gonna give credit to the cone drill or the combine speed for that production.
I might give credit to those.
What about the idea that McCaffrey has been practicing a little bit of running back duties? Right?
Cool. He's a McCaffrey.
Yeah.
That's what they do.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's going to be. I think that's we're going to probably see him out there in some maybe 2-back sets. Even just having him line up there. If you're talking motion, right? Line him up at running back. You have to give it every now and then, but then you can run him out to the slot. What we've seen Gibson do that. We're probably going to see Ekeler do that. Now you have Luke McCaffrey who can start, sit back there as, I can take a carry. I'm not going to be my brother, but something. Anyways, enough.
How about Luke McCaffrey and Ekeler in the backfield together?
It's going to Ekeler.
It's a pass. It's probably a pass at that point.
Yeah.
How is Luke's blocking? That's going to be a bigger one. So
there we
again,
go.
lots of good things coming out of camp talk. Yeah. Is there anything we missed from camp that we need to talk about?
I think, how about just an overall, if I can just say an overall, is that the guys that they brought in just seem to be standing out. And it's not just the rookies, but it's the 1-year guys and the long-term guys. Wagner has stood out. Luvu, Jeremy Chin, Zach Ertz is getting a lot of love in camp so far. Ekeler, Biadish, right? All these guys are getting a lot of love so far in camp, and I think that's really important, not necessarily to success for this season, but long-term success. That kind of shows you so far that this Adam Peters knows how to find the players, and then Dan Quinn knows how to coach them up. And I'm using those two as figureheads, and I mean their whole teams, all the coaches, all the scouts, all the good stuff. So I think it's important that those guys have the type of years that we hope that they'll have, because again, it'll give you confidence in the front office. We don't want guys to come in and just struggle all the time. Your free agents struggle, your William Jacksons and your Curtis Samuel can't get on the field for almost an entire year, and your Forbes struggles and Davis struggles and Mathis struggles and so on and so on. So I think that's a big thing from this particular camp, is that the guys they brought in have been the standouts in camp so far.
Fair enough. There is one thing that we didn't talk about that we said we were going to talk about here in the game for our camp takes, and that was the kickers. Thanks, Locked On Law, for that. As the Commanders did reach out to have Jake Bates come to town, the biggest, hottest name in kicking right now, as far as that's not in the NFL. And then they also have one other kicker whose name literally was just in front of me, and it is updated. Lucas Haverisk.
There you go.
Haverisk.
Yeah, and actually, he was the Browns kicker last year, if I remember correctly, right? I mean, the Browns had 3 guys in camp at the start of the year. They had Haverisk, or however we say his name, plus our guy from back. Who's our guy that we got rid of after
McManus?
Before Sly, the guy we cut midseason, we never should have.
Hopkins,
Dustin Hopkins, yeah. So you had Hopkins, Haversick, and then they had the third guy, the guy that they drafted in like the 3rd round or whatever, who got cut, but brought him back. Like yeah, exactly. So you knew they were going to get rid of one of those at some point. You don't need 3 kickers in camp, and they let Haversick go, brought him over, and apparently he kicked like a 46-yarder with the entire team standing next to him, screaming and yelling at him, trying to distract him, and he booted a 46-yarder through. So we'll see. They're going to have plenty more. Maybe Bates comes in. We'll see. But, I mean, kickers, I don't put a lot of stock in kickers, but kickers Kickers can lose you games.
Yeah,
Yes,
kickers are actually a long tenured kicker tends to be pretty high up in the franchise scoring list by virtue of just opportunity.
Sure.
So they do put up a lot of points for a team, and having a good one will, like you said, Stoner, win you games, and having a bad one, double doink, you're right out the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So, you want to make sure that you have somebody who's doing good for that one. So, all right, that is all the camp talk we can take here. Let's move on to Austin Ekeler. Stick with us here in the cool down as we talk about the Ekeler experience. Welcome to episode 177's The Cool Down, the Austin Ekeler experience. Ekeler has been moving around and seemingly, in my opinion, one of the more vocal, one of the more out there commanders in this offseason. I just seem to see him everywhere, even joining some of our fellow content creators on their shows to kind of pushing out some of his own stuff. Stoner, what do you make of him being such a presence here for the DC team?
Always a big deal to bring in a veteran guy. He has Hall of Fame type numbers for those few years, right? I mean, he's not going to be a Hall of Famer, sorry. But so you bring him in, and what do you expect? You expect him to be a leader. You expect him to be vocal, all those things you talked about, Nathan. You expect him to be the type of guy that your young guys look up to. And we already talked about the little bit with Jayden Daniels, the exchange that he had about certain route concepts and how the defense is playing. And you expect him to be the model for Brian Robinson and Chris Rodriguez. It's exactly what you expect from him. You hope he can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing the last couple of years that he struggled with. But, man, he's a difference maker. He's a difference maker offensive player. And if he can stay healthy and they can figure some things out, this is a big signing for this organization. He's really going to help this offense.
So, Trev, you were kind of talking about him in the backfield with Brian Robinson, and Brian Robinson being one of the guys that you think is going to have kind of a breakout year. We kind of talked about maybe some of those snaps being taken away from Ekeler. What are you expecting from him this season?
A lot of red zone touches. I look for him to be a touchdown scoring machine like he's always been. I think that's one of the reasons why we brought him here. Not only does he fit the offense, but he scores touchdowns in the red zone where we lack. Difference maker, like Stoner said. I mean, the tape shows he's fast. Looks like he's fast again. He says he's super healthy. He's a pro's pro. I said that before too. He carries himself like a professional way. You can tell, like Nathan was saying, he's been vocal on all these shows and interviews. He's just very optimistic, very like he knows what he wants to say. There's no lacking in his or none of that in his speech. But as far as on the field, man, production. I don't know what his numbers would be because I don't want to get into that because we'll be here for another hour. But like I said, red zone touches, big third down pickups. I see him being a gadget guy too, drawing defense towards him and leaving other guys like Luke McCaffrey or B-Rob or other players open. Or, he's a person that'll draw a lot of attention. He's along with Bobby Wagner. I still have to watch his interviews and tapes and be like, he's literally wearing a Washington Commanders uniform. Austin Ekeler. I mean, he's beaten us a few times over there at the Chargers. He's played with two great quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers and Justin Herbert, so he can bring that knowledge to Jayden Daniels. Like, bravo, front office. This is a brilliant signing. And bottom line, he wanted to come here. So I like anybody who wants to come here.
Good opportunity for him here in Washington. And while Trev might not want to talk numbers, I'm going to bring it up, okay? His over-under on total rushing yards right now is set at 400. If you want some of that action, you can head over to Bet Online, use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get yourself a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. It doesn't have to be just betting on Austin Ekeler numbers. You can bet on the NBA playoffs right now. Will the Dallas Mavericks come back? How about those NHL playoff action as well? You have golf, you've got tennis, you've got it, you got it right at your fingertips at Bet Online or on your mobile device. It's right there. All your up-to-date wagering and information at your fingertips. Just use our code BLEAV to get yourself that 50% welcome bonus and get yourself started, because Bet Online, where the game starts. Over under set again at 400 rushing yards, which may not seem like a lot, but he's also got that at 400 receiving yards.
The same?
The same.
Wow, same over under.
So
I would probably go under his rushing yards and over his receiving yards. I think Jayden Daniels is really going to lean on a guy like him and Carson Wentz, Zach Ertz, guys who have been around a while, veterans, guys who know what to do when the quarterback.
Security blankets.
Yeah, security blankets. So I'm going to go over on his receiving yards, but under on his rushing.
I think I'm agreed with Stoner on that. I don't. If we didn't have B-Rob, I'd probably go over on the 400 rushing yards, but we have B-Rob, so I'm gonna go under 400 and over for 400 receiving.
I feel like Washington's going to be rushing the ball about 450 times. I feel, again, 225 of those are going to be Brian Robinson, and then Austin Ekeler is going to hit the century mark in attempts. And when he's done that, he's surpassed 400.
Sure.
Even recently, he's been able to hit that clip. Now, that was 179 rush attempts. He was at 628, but just back in 2020, in just 10 games, he had 116 attempts for 530 yards rushing. And that's kind of where I expect him to be. And maybe 400 he might be a little bit closer to 400, but that, maybe age has gotten up there to him. But when you look at his receiving numbers, this is absolutely what he brings to the table, and what I always wanted Antonio Gibson to bring to the table, right?
Yeah.
And show some of that explosiveness there. He is so steady out of the backfield. He has not had a year under 400 since his rookie year receiving.
Interesting.
That is outstanding. By the way, his rookie year also 0 games started in the only year that he was under 500 yards rushing. So he's been a very productive player out of the
even in those
backfield.
injury years, he's still broken those marks. Okay, that's interesting to know.
So I don't think he's going to be, someone here had put on here that Austin Ekeler is going to be running back one. He's not going to be that. He's probably going to frustrate you in fantasy. He's probably going to take some of those red zone opportunities out of Brian Robinson's hands. Or if you maybe drafted Zach Ertz thinking that he was going to catch those, for goodness sakes, do not take Cole Turner. But the opportunities are going to be there for him, and I think he's going to be productive. Maybe not exciting, but productive.
Yeah. I do question his off-field intelligence, though. Have you guys watched the Netflix documentary? Have you watched it?
So I'm sitting there, we're watching it, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, watching it, and I'm like, she's married to Austin Ekeler.
Yeah.
Because I saw on his Instagram their wedding pictures, but then I didn't put together until
the two of them together, right? So Nathan probably doesn't know anything about this. And a lot of people may not, but there's a Netflix documentary. If you get a chance to watch it, I wouldn't highly recommend it because I don't think it really offers a whole lot. It's not a great documentary. It's interesting, but it's called Dancing with the Devil, and it's the 7M TikTok cult, right? So there's just these bunch of dancers who are these are famous TikTok / Instagram dancers. I mean, we're talking about 2, 3, 4 million followers on these platforms.
Yeah, for real.
But a lot of them joined this church, and then this church became their management company, and they think it's kind of a cult. So there was these two sisters. I can't have the specifics, but these two sisters, they were very popular dancers and on Instagram and TikTok and all that. One sister got out of the cult, if you will, if you believe it's a cult. The other sister did not. So that particular sister, they've been trying to get her out. She's still in the cult, if you believe it's a cult.
The dance group or whatever, sure.
Yes. Yeah.
And then this one who got out is now married to Austin Ekeler.
Yep.
And Austin Ekeler was in this documentary, but not like he didn't speak. It was kind of like she was talking about her upcoming wedding and how she wants her sister who's in the cult to be there, but she may not be there. And then they had like little videos and stuff with Austin Ekeler in there. And so he's now part of this absolute ridiculous situation.
He's not a part of it. He's just married to the person Stoner is exaggerating to
that's
the fullest.
That's his family
bro.
now. That's his
but
family.
he's not a part of the.
You know, when
Stoner
Stoner asked to specifically have a breakout for Austin Ekeler to talk about some of the off-season stuff that he's done, I didn't know that this was part of it.
Real.
Yeah.
So Adams asked him about it, and he just said, "Yeah, it's no big deal. Like we're just going." He just answered like a professional answer.
Yeah, because that's all we've gotten from him ever is how good he is as a professional. They
just had a Netflix documentary on it. It's not like no big deal.
He's fine. Dan Quinn, they didn't say anything about it.
No, I'm just questioning maybe, his life decisions outside of football.
Bruh.
I don't care.
I mean, he at least married one who was in the cult.
Paycheck outside of football, I bet he's going to be like just fine with
it. Yeah. Okay.
Again, you're questioning his decision making. He at least married the one who wasn't in the dance group, right?
Exactly.
She's still a dancer. She's just not in that.
But she's
cult.
not in the cult.
I'm saying she's not in that one, right? She's not. He's not like he married the cult member. Correct. Smart enough not to do that.
Oh, see, let me tell it next time because Stoner just be out here putting.
What did I say? Anything that was incorrect?
I just love how he was
questioning the man's decision making by a cameo in a Netflix documentary.
Yeah, he married his sister-in-law is in a cult. That's the bottom line.
He didn't marry the one that's in there.
Aren't they all though? Don't we all have family members who are part of a cult?
We do. We all have family members who are in a cult.
Yes,
that's projection. If I ever heard.
Don't we all?
Tell us about your family members that are in a cult.
That's for another show, episode 200. We'll save it for that.
Yeah, we got to save that one because I will get myself in trouble. That one we'll do a behind the scenes talk about that one here. But
after the whistle.
So Austin Ekeler has been out and about. I'm glad we got that off our chest. I just love again how Stoner couched it several times. A cult, if you call it that. Like he was.
I wasn't convinced that it was a cult because they are free to go, they are free to do anything, but they decide not to, and they're just calling them a cult because they don't like how he doesn't like how his sister-in-law is not. They don't have a close relationship that like they used to. The two sisters used to be world famous on TikTok and Instagram, and then now they're not. So, and Austin's got to be a part of that every single day.
Well,
he probably went home today. He probably went home from minicamp today and sat down with his wife, and his wife was like, "Okay, here's what happened with the cult today. So first of all,
right.
Yeah. Well, maybe that decision making does affect his fumbling numbers. For the record, by the way, some people trying to tease him about maybe being Gibson and what's his nickname going to be if he fumbles and everything. He has fumbled 21 times in his career.
That's kind of a lot. What year is he in now?
8.
He's in his 8th year. He's had 909, almost 1,000 rushing attempts. He's had receiving receptions 440. So he's sitting just under 1,500 touches and 21 fumbles.
That's 3 a year. Gibby has 6 in half a year.
Okay, now who's not telling the story correctly?
We'll be fine.
What
Austin Ekeler ain't been benched for fumbling, has he?
What did he do last season in terms of his fumbling?
Last season he had 5 fumbles, which was his tied for his season high. He had back-to-back years with 5.
And how many touches did he have last year?
Last year combined, he had just 51 receptions, which was a low reception year for him, 179 attempts. So what, 230?
230. And he fumbled 5 times. So every 50 touches. So basically every other game he fumbled.
Okay.
So what's his
football.
nickname?
He fumbled.
What's his nickname, Trev? Gibby didn't like being called Gibby. So that's why we called it when he was a fumble. We can call him AG or Gibson when he was doing good things, but every time he did something dumb, we were like, there goes that Gibby again. So what's Austin Eckler's nickname going to be? Eccles when he fumbles, TJ says.
Eccles when he fumbles.
Eccles.
How about the cult
We'll
lover?
figure it out.
Stop it. Stoner with that one. Absolutely. So,
I like
hey,
Eccles.
Two lit keys. Thanks for joining us here. And this two lit here saying, love the show. First time catching it live. Keep it up. Love the content. And we love bringing you the content. So we appreciate you joining us live, which you can do every Wednesday, 7:30 Eastern, right here on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, wherever you catch it. You can also catch it live, or not live, but on your favorite audio platform as well. If you're wherever you're listening, make sure you leave us a rating and review. If you're here on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all these things that we tell you to do. And the reason why we tell you to do it is because it helps other people find the channel. And then you have more people to engage with and talk about our favorite team, the Washington Commanders. So we appreciate everybody jumping in here to talk about the weird Austin Ekeler experience, all the camp takes to include a fun little game there with the Jayden Daniels or not Jayden Daniels talk. And then, of course, our linebacker group, which is much improved, if not the best, close to it, is what NFL experts are saying. That was our episode 177. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. That's Trev. We'll be back next week, if not sooner, with some more content. But until next time,
McCaffrey is wide receiver 3.
Luke
Be a
McCaffrey
fan.
is just a name.
Be a fan.